Hey, it's Jordan with TYT Politics. I'm here with Sherry Hunkala, and you have an interesting story. You're a Green Party candidate in a special election in Philadelphia, which until reading about, I didn't know was on par in terms of corruption with your friends in New Jersey, New York, and the rest of the Northeast. But I'll let you tell me about that. But essentially, you're running Green Party, very progressive. You've done your whole career has been really about working to eradicate poverty, homelessness, things like that. And of course, because you're an actual progressive, the machine in Philadelphia is trying to suppress you. So tell me a little bit about your background and what's been going on trying to get on the ballot.
Well, thanks for having me on your program. I'm a formerly homeless mother. I have two children. One is a Puerto Rican 14-year-old who has two different disabilities. I'm also a foster mother of two African American boys right now. So my house is never empty, it's always full. And I've been fighting for like the last 30 years to uplift the lives of the people that are in my district.
And tell me about this special election. What are you running for? Why is there a special election? And why have you had issues getting on the ballot?
Well, for many years in my district, there has been a legacy of corruption. And the last two state reps have had to resign as a result of corruption. And then most recently, the Democrat that was trying to get on the ballot lied about living in the district, actually lived outside of the district, and so he was taken off of the ballot. So right now, there's a series of different write-ins, and myself as a Green, and there's only one Republican that remains on the ballot. So this race is incredibly important, and we're going to have stamps for people to go in and take that little box and stamp my name in there
So,
because it's incredibly important that I win.
so essentially, you're going to be a write-in candidate.
I am a write-in candidate or a stamp-in candidate, I should say, because we don't want to make any mistakes with how to spell my name. So that's why we've prepared a stamp, and we're going to have people outside of all the polls handing out stamps for folks to go in and put it right in the box.
So, Sherry, obviously, I think the primary last year put on the spotlight of the Democratic establishment machine on a national level. But I've been able, going around the country, to see it's very state and localized too. There's entrenched corporate interests in local governments, state governments, all over the Northeast, frankly, all over the country. So tell me about Philadelphia. What are the problems you're seeing that you think you could really put a dent in? And why is it that a progressive who talks about poverty and lifting people up is being attacked essentially by the establishment there?
Well, I've learned a hell of a lot, particularly in the last 3 weeks. When you talk about, uh, the machine, we really have to break down what is the machine and what is this legacy of corruption. And you can see it in the nonprofit industrial complex that receives money from the Democratic Party. You can see it in some of the churches. You can see it in some of the ward leaders. You can see it in, just the newspapers, you name it. So it's like having this mob boss basically tell everybody that there'll be consequences if you go with somebody that's progressive and you break out of that. So it's been a hell of a struggle. We had a young man that was door knocking 2 weeks ago who was rushed by the police, thrown on the ground, and searched. And, he had to make a police report. It was clear that he was just a petitioner in the neighborhood that was like door knocking and had a button on. But these are the kinds of things that we're up against.
And talk to me about the situation there. Obviously, we know the national numbers. I mean, poverty is very, very bad. A lot of that was only, kind of pouring gasoline on an existing fire, the economic crash of 8 years ago. But the structural issues that are creating poverty are everything feeds into each other. Education, no investment. Can you talk to me about the situation on the ground there in Philly?
Yeah, my neighborhood and my community and district are the poorest district in the state of Pennsylvania. They say nationally like 60 million people in our country are living on less than $2 a day. And it's kind of interesting. My district number is 197. It's really symbolic of the thousands of unemployed men who go not just a day on less than $2, but like 2 weeks with no money at all. So then when people talk about, the high rate of drug overdoses and, people getting caught up in drug wars and getting shot, overdoses, ending up in prison, all of those kinds of things, it's because this is the forgotten district. And people can't survive. There are no jobs. This is the famous area where Mother Jones, when she was alive, marched with children that had their limbs cut off working in the factories. And if she was alive today, there would be no factories to march from.
Right. And your experience, you mentioned that you had been homeless at one point. Obviously, what causes homelessness and poverty and some of the ways of getting out of that. Can you kind of share your experience? I'm sure it's a long story, but whatever you want to share.
Yeah. Well, the short version is that I was working like many Americans, and then lost my job, was unable to pay for rent, ended up living in my car. I put all my stuff into storage until I was able to find some place to live again. But like many homeless people across this country, I lost my son's baby book, all of his pictures, every memory, because then you end up spending so much money just to survive while you're homeless, because you don't have a stove. So you eat out at restaurants, or you try to figure out how to keep gas on in your car so that you don't freeze to death when you're, sleeping in your car with your child. It's the worst, Gandhi really had it right. The worst form of violence is poverty. And there's that experience basically marked me for my entire life, that we live in a country that feels like it's okay to deny people a place to sleep, especially women and children. And so I learned on a cold winter night, I feel like I'm articulate, I'm smart, I'm resourceful, all of these kinds of things. And if I wasn't able to get into a city shelter and could have died of hypothermia with my, at that time, 9-year-old son, Mark, that could happen to anybody.
And the special elections, March 21st. If you win, do you think the establishment in Philadelphia, do you think they would be an impediment because they don't particularly look fondly on the Green Party or third party types? How do you think you'd be able to get anything done there?
Well, I think that the winds of change are really beginning to happen. I'm excited because I was just recently endorsed by Our Revolution. And I think that people are understanding that we have to get away from the rhetoric. We have to get away from the machine. We have to get away from doing the same old, while people's lives are literally in danger. Our planet is in danger. The people in this district are tired of burying their loved ones. I know I was talking to Pastor Carlos yesterday, and he had, I wanted to meet with him, and he couldn't meet with me because he had to bury yet another young man last night who overdosed and has 3 children. So, I think, the benefit of being all the way on the bottom is that there's no place else to go but up. And that's what we intend to do in the 197.
And where can people find out more about your campaign and you?
They can go to Cheri, Cheri, 197.com. Again, that's Cheri, Cheri, 197.com. Or you can also go to Cheri, Cheri, 197.com/donate and make a financial contribution today. We have the possibility of winning this thing. We only need like 3,000 votes. We're asking progressives from around the country if they can make it into town. We will find some place for you to sleep. If you're familiar with the Hunger Games, we're looking at this like we're the district taking on the Capitol. And we want to, make this the beginning of fighting back for our lives, especially during this Trump era. Excuse me.
Well, I hope you don't end up dead like the Hunger Games. I think you'll do a good job. Thank you for taking the time, and good luck.
Thank you so much. Please follow us on Twitter and on Instagram, and I hope people continue to support programs like yours.